Okay,
It's all you, Andy.
fantastic. Hello, everybody. This is Andy Heller. I'm a real estate investor for 35 years, president of regularriches.com. I've been teaching investing for almost 2 decades. I like to say I started when I was 10, so I'm not that old, but the truth is I'm very old. So here's what we're going to do today. There's really four parts to tonight. I'm going to give a quick overview of my model. My good friend and co-host for an event that we're doing on the 24th or 25th, Alan Cowgill, will come in and do a very 15, 20-minute overview of his model. And then we're going to pivot and come back and talk about what's happening in the real estate market today and why we see this as a special opportunity for all of you. In other words, is the market preparing to reset? And if so, how to position yourself for the reset? Now, in the chat, you may have a question or two. And if we have time, we want to be done in an hour. Post a question or two. And if there's time, we'll have a fourth segment where we'll answer a few of the questions before we say goodnight. So I'm going to start off. If you take a picture of the QR code, Alan and I will be coming back on the 24th and 25th and doing a full weekend workshop. I'll be taking the morning segments and Alan will be taking the afternoon segments. And really, if any part of tonight resonates with you and you feel that we can help you make money, register. If you've got a partial conflict that weekend or even a full conflict, don't worry, because by registering, you will get access to the recording of the workshop. That being said, absolutely try to attend live because like today, there'll be an opportunity to ask questions, but that's only available to you if you attend live. So if you are attending and you don't know anything about me, I have been investing for 35 years. My investment company is called regularriches.com. That's my education company. My investment model is called buy low, rent smart, and sell high. My investment strategy was actually profiled years ago and featured by Fortune magazine among the top 5 wealth building models for real estate investors. So again, don't take my word for it. That's a pretty high recommendation. One of my students, Hans, was actually profiled in that article in Fortune magazine. And Hans went on to be able to buy a business with the money he made from his early real estate investing. So again, this is a very, very high level overview because I want to save time when I come back and talk about what's happening in the real estate market today and why that spells opportunity for all of you going forward. So our model is called buy low, rent smart, sell high. I'm going to talk about all 3 components of our model very briefly. On the buying side, there's many ways to buy property below market, but most of the deals are in the foreclosure space. Now, we teach how to buy foreclosures, but what we call is a post foreclosure. In other words, properties that have gone through the foreclosure process and gone back to the bank. In most states, from the time the property is foreclosed on, before you see a property on MLS, that is a 3 to 6 month window. I teach how to buy properties in that window, ladies and gentlemen. And how do you do that? There's 2 primary ways. If it's a smaller bank that forecloses on the property, we teach you how to approach that bank directly, what to say, and how to position yourself as an alternative for that bank to fixing up and marketing the property months later. For larger banks, there's no possible way that you can approach and call a Chase or a Deutsche Bank or a Wells Fargo and get on their radar. But these larger banks, they market their properties in a very organized and repetitive way through what we call REO agents. These are real estate agents that deal specifically in bank-owned properties and some of them are exclusively in bank-owned properties. Again, we teach you how to approach these agents, how to present yourself as an investor, so that these REO agents, by extension, these larger banks, will consider you as a potential quick sale alternative for that property rather than waiting months and pushing that property to the public on MLS. This has been our primary way to buy properties for over 35 years. And that's what I teach on the buy-in side. Now, once you've purchased the property, you'll market the property for sale or lease purchase. That's for sale or lease purchase. There's a few people that got unmuted. I need to ask you guys to mute, please. All right. Now, we did not create the lease purchase. It's been around for a long time, ladies and gentlemen. Okay. What we do that's different is we use a carrot. What I mean by the carrot is that the tenant's desire for home ownership is the fundamental theme of our marketing program for these properties. Again, post any questions in the chat, and Gary will try to filter and answer a few of them once we're done. So you buy these bank-owned properties and you market the properties for sale or lease option. Okay. When they are lease optioned, you'll be attracting a higher caliber tenant. And that is what separates our rental strategy from some other buy and hold strategies. Okay. Now, when we don't lease purchase the properties, or even when we do, here are the ways that you sell these REOs that you bought below market. There's 4 different things that will happen. It's very simple. So let's recap. You buy these bank-owned properties below market. You've got some locked-in profit. You're marketing the properties for sale or lease option. Now, one of 4 things will occur in the sell-in program. The first thing is you may actually flip the properties. So somebody answers the ad who doesn't want to lease purchase, who wants to flip, who wants to buy the property. In that case, let's say, Gary, you need to give me the screen again. I lost the screen. In that case, you will flip the property, make whatever immediate profit you can, take that money and do it all over again. The second thing that can happen is you attract a lease purchase property. Sorry, let me put my screen back on there for everybody. Okay, so the first thing that might happen is you flip the property. You make some quick sale money, you put that in your bank account, and maybe turn that cash into 2 or 3 more properties. The second thing that might happen is you'll not flip the property, but you'll attract a lease purchaser who wants to buy the property but can't buy today. Most of these lease purchase families will transact in the 3rd year or later. So the second group of properties, since you've owned it for 2 or 3 years, you now make additional profit with cash flow benefits, tax gains, equity. So your typical property purchased by a lease purchaser around the 3rd year, you're going to make upwards of $50,000 on these properties. The third thing that can happen is the lease purchaser doesn't buy. Now, when this happens, keep this in mind, everybody. Anytime a family doesn't buy, they expect it to buy. So almost always, when you get the properties back,
this is the universal one.
Properties.
I remember I had to use 2 remotes.
Okay, I need Gary, need help to mute everybody so they can hear me. So the properties that where the lease purchaser does not buy, you'll get back in way better condition. You're not going to have significant rehab costs to put the property back on the market. And you just lease purchase again. So for example, let's say you lease purchase a property for $400,000, and after 3 years, the family says, sorry, we're moving to Detroit. So we're gonna break our lease purchase agreement. But now that $400,000 property is worth $460,000. You take it back, maybe you put $10,000 or $20,000 into it to make it in pristine condition and put it right back on the market, but instead of at 400, at 460. So when a family is not able to buy, the third outcome is you just repeat the process and put it right back on the market for sale or lease purchase. The fourth thing that can happen, everybody, is after the original 3 years that we give these tenants, they say, look, guys, we like your home. We're just not ready to buy. Can we have more time? Well, we always give them more time. We send them an extension agreement, and it takes the original terms of the lease purchase and puts them on automatic 1-year renewals. Okay? What does that mean? It means that if a family buys after 6 years, after 8 years, after 12 years, the price of the home goes up with each renewal period. So now you make even more money. So a fourth group of these properties will effectively become long-term renewals. The only difference is that the tenants hope to buy one day. They probably won't if they've been there 10 years or longer. But what they are going to do is take better care of your property than if you were just renting the homes. Now, I'm going to pass the baton to Alan in a couple of minutes, but I want to wrap up my introductory segment with a powerful slide here. So when we were interviewed by Fortune magazine, one of the reasons that I know that they recommended our model to people like yourselves and their readers is because your typical real estate strategy has 2 or 3 profit sources, 2 or 3 different ways the investor makes money. Our model has 6 ways. So it's extremely lucrative. And this is something the Fortune magazine said they had never seen before. You get immediate profit when you buy the bank-owned property below market. That's what we call the buy low discount. If you end up holding onto the property, you make profits every month with cash flow. Anytime you hold on to real estate, there are tax benefits that you gain by holding on to investment real estate. If you got a loan on the property, every single month your tenant makes a payment, you own a little bit more of that property. That's called an equity gain on the property. Appreciation, because this is a lease purchase and because you lock in, I'm sorry guys, that's my dog. And because you, all right. And because you lock in these annual, one second, let me grab my dog. One sec, guys. Well, this won't happen if I'm holding him. So because you are locking in on your renewals, annual increases, you're able to capture appreciation that naturally occurs in real estate. And the final profit source is under a lease purchase, you ask for an option fee. And if they don't buy the property, you get to keep that option fee as additional profit. Some of you live in states like Texas where there is legislation in place about lease purchases, and we will speak in the workshop on how to modify your lease purchase terms to be consistent with that legislation in your particular state. So without further ado, I'm going to introduce Alan, who will talk about his area of expertise, which is raising private funds. Alan, if you got your screen worked out, great. If not, then just verbally walk everybody through, and then we'll come back and talk about what's happening in the market right now and why today is a great time to invest. What are the signs that we're seeing? And does it look like a reset is coming? So, Alan, I'll pass the baton to you.
I had so much money one day I couldn't spend it all. Private money, it was amazing. It just kept coming in and coming in. I remember it was in August. I don't remember what year it was, but it just had tons of private money showing up. So just imagine if that was you. What if you woke up and had a massive amount of private money out there? You see, I found the pot of gold of private money. So it was so much money coming in. I hired a guy. His name's Kevin. Him and I started to get more private money and do deals. So what happened was I couldn't spend it all initially. Finally got it all spent. From mid-September to Christmas, we did 21 properties. And then from New Year's to August, as you can see, it's 48 properties. That's 69 properties that we did in less than a year. My private lenders out there started out as a trickle of money, and then it turned into a river of money, and then a flood of money like what I just talked about. Just imagine having $1 million just a phone call away. What would that do for you and your family? Just think about it. You see, I've cracked the code on private money, and you can too by doing just a few things and learn simple things that I have done along the way. My experience with private money is it gives you the confidence that you can close the deal. It's the #1 feedback that I hear from my students. You can buy fast at lightning speed and beat your competition. You can do rehabs fast because you have 100% of the cash. You get a discount when you pay with all cash. Cash is king, as you see right there. And all cash deals have the cheapest closing costs. You can cover unexpected bills by just borrowing private money and putting a second mortgage on the property. You don't want to over leverage it, but if you got room, you can do that. Your life gets better because your funding is right side up rather than upside down. If I get a chance, I'll talk to you about that. And you can get unlimited funds out there. Your posture is some will, some won't. So what? Someone's waiting. Don't beg, don't plead, don't even ask twice. Get out there and tell people that you're looking for private money and let the chips fall where it may. Just outline your program. What interest rate? You want to make a screenshot on this. What interest rate are you going to start off with? When do you pay them? How do you pay them? Monthly or when it sells? Minimum investment. No early withdrawal penalties. We don't do early withdrawal penalties with private money. And how long to return the money. You ought to write these down tonight.
Alan, are you okay if I interrupt you 1 second?
Yeah.
Okay, just for we may have some on the call today who are just starting out. I think we should define what private money is first, because there may be some that don't know what that is. So everybody, when you invest in real estate and you make your offers, you've got to have either an ability to get a loan, or you've got to have the cash to buy a property. Those are prerequisites. Or if you're a wholesaler, you've got to have buyers, okay? So Alan's specialty is for investors who want to invest today, but they don't have the funds. So private money can be defined as going into the community, announcing yourself as a real estate investor. And the community could be your family and friends, and having them contribute the funds for you to invest for their benefit and for yours. His specialty, and he's been doing this longer than anybody else, is helping investors who want to invest today, but they don't yet have the capital. That's what private money is. The problem for many is they go to family and friends and they don't do it the right way, because you have rules in place that are there for how you need to raise your funds. So I'm sorry for interrupting, Alan.
No, you did good.
I feel we need to define what private money is for everybody's benefit, because you're giving them these success stories and what you did, but let's establish private money can be money from mom and dad, money from your friends, money from strangers.
Yep, you got it down. Now, let me tack on to that. My first private money person was my mom. And what had happened was she had a bank CD. And I sat down with her at the kitchen table. I explained to her on what I was doing, and she jumped for joy. And so she was my first private lender. I had done some real estate deals before that, but mom was the first person that I approached her on that. So on here, this talking to people that you know, I sat down with mom. She agreed to it. She had really was excited because it gave her a higher interest rate, okay, on what she was getting. So, voicemail, you can do that with scripts and talking to people that you know out there. So when I'm talking to people you know, just imagine that you're meeting with your first private lender tomorrow. How would you communicate with private money program to them? And I'm glad, Andy, you stopped me because that helps, okay, on making sure that everybody's on the same page here tonight because it's so important to everybody. So here's the tools that I use. You know, take a screenshot of this. PowerPoint presentation like you're seeing right now. Scripts, you know, key. What are you going to say to the private lender? And then I have a special report that I hand out to people. Very simple question and answer. For a potential private lender, and it moves them closer to loaning you money. And then I created a credibility kit, which I hand out to people about my business, what I'm doing, and why I'm doing it, and how it can help them. And then I have a compelling audio that I give them, and on that audio, what it does is it moves them closer to loaning me money, and sometimes they do it right off the bat. So you can see that having a proven presentation would make finding private money very, very easy. Also, along the way, I've created 3 programs in our industry that didn't exist before. And here's one of them. I call it my 3-touch rule. It's an amazing, simple lead generation because in order to get private money, you got to lead gen to attract lenders like a magnet. And I've got Gary's name up here. Gary, when we first met, you didn't know anything about private money, right? And then
no, I mean I didn't have any money, couldn't even go to banks.
Yeah. So how many doors are you doing today?
We to date we have 374 doors.
You've come a long way, buddy.
At the moment.
Come a long way.
Yeah, and we're actually we're in contract to pick up 80 more doors. I don't know if I told you that.
No.
And we're looking. We're trying to close on those in the next couple of months.
Good for you. Good for you. So the 3-touch rule, it shows you how to quickly, easily fund your deals out there. Dominic here, within 24 hours, he had $350,000. Pete, you got $1.2 million. Valerie here, she was broke, and she went to one of my events, and actually she's recommending that everybody get to know me, things like that at an event. And she is now doing a $22 million property, all going from being broke. And Alan Mosier, thank you for your program on private money funding. It made me a millionaire at 30, and today at 33, I'm a multimillionaire. Hedry Grant, this is an interesting one. I was in Minnesota, and he came up and gave me a big hug because he's a hard money lender. And the way he did that was through private money and how I taught him to do that. So he said here, I was able to raise $7 million in private money, and it completely changed my life. In the first 24 hours of my live event, over the years, my students have raised over $500 million. Some folks are getting started and need funding for their deals. Other folks are doing deals with their own money. What I'm going to share with you is who should use private money. If you're a beginner out there, that is a great place to start because you learn it the right way and you do it the right way. If you're intermediate real estate investor, maybe you've done 5 deals, 4 deals, something like that. then this is a way to really launch because you've already got a lot of expertise. And then experienced real estate investors, they've come along too and uh, did deals. So I teach the best, the easiest, and the cheapest way to attract and convert people into private money lenders. Your next loan is waiting for you if you have just gone out and sold a property. What'll happen with the private lender is they will instantly want you to get another property because they want to keep that income stream coming. So it just comes through magically. It's really great. The key to using private lenders so I can make offers and confidence, and this makes it possible out there. It's just like ordering up pizza out there. So magic of getting a flood of private money. Private lenders will bring you more private lenders without you asking. One private lender might bring you two can bring you four, and that's how all that money just keeps coming in and coming in. You grow your business that way. And then you need to up the ante. What's that mean? Well, when somebody says, yes, I want to loan you $500,000, what I encourage my students to do is to ask the lender, potential lender, if I find a deal worth $1 million, should I call you? So I always double it, and they either say yes or no, but go from there. So and what happens is about 20-30% of the folks will say yes, up in the ante. Just think about how that money piles up. Show you how you can get the money you need to buy apartment complexes, commercial property, or single family homes, regardless of your credit or financial situation. You like the idea of not having monthly maybe mortgage payments maybe. Look down here on the flipper side in the corner there. It says no monthly payments, and private lenders get paid when you get paid. So rather than having mortgages come in every month, then you just cover it all at once. Think about having $1 million loaned to you and you don't have to worry about monthly mortgage payments. You know, out there, this is really the what Andy and I have set up is the find and the fix and the keep or sell is what Andy's showing, and I got the funding part on this. So the system to buy 5 to 7 properties a month. What happened was I call him my rookie realtor. He just got done being a realtor, and he showed up in the office, and he wanted the only reason he was there is because they sent him in to pick up the check. I started talking, his name's Brad. I started to talk to him, and him and I teamed up to where we started to do 5 to 7 properties a month with zero marketing cost. Think about that. Zero marketing cost and very, very little effort. And Brad, he became my private lender. He had $8 million in private. This is a broke guy starting out, by the way. $8 million of private money. He purchased 1,000 single-family homes, last I heard. He purchased a number of apartment complexes and 75 storage units down I-75. Family, friends, and associates are the best way to start out. What I do, I started out with my mom. Okay, it's the easiest way to get started. If you feel uncomfortable with that, then you move on. Okay. Getting loans from a bank. What's the process and how long does it take, and the volume of paperwork out there? It's tough, but with private money, it makes it so much easier. You're disqualified from borrowing if you have from a bank if you have too many properties. I had way back when I had 4 banks shut me down because they didn't want to have more properties out there. They normally cut it off at 4. Poor credit, if somebody's got poor credit, you can overcome that by private money. Income doesn't satisfy the bank, same thing. And if you leave your JOB, which I did, then you can go all over it, you know. Your life with a bank is you got credit checks, long applications, submitting paperwork, paying appraisal fees, ceilings on your income, nail biting timelines, and losing a deal. You know, that stuff just makes you sick. I mean, private money is so much easier than that. You just got to get into doing it. So talking to people, you know, talking to, and then have scripts out there, and then you need to follow up. You need to follow up, and don't miss that up or you'll miss some money. Real estate investor action, when you attended your first real estate group and started, or maybe just started a real estate on your own, you get an education, and the next step you did is you make your offers. But you have the steps out of order. I'm going to show you that real quick, because you can't change a bank or a hard money lender or credit. They have their own rules, but with private lenders, you can change it. Now, what happens is with this business is you get the education, and then what you do in this typically is you go out and make offers. In fact, maybe your REIA group, so we encourage you to go out and make offers. And then you hunt for funding. That's the hard way to do it. What you want to do is insert private money, changes 2 and 3 over. This makes buying properties harder for you if you do it that way. You know, you're handling your funding different from the normal business. This is the typical business for companies. Or I have doctors down there. My dad was a doctor. So how did he do it? Well, he got an education. Then he focused on funding. And then once he got the funding, then he opened up for business. That's typical what businesses do. But what we do in real estate is we turn 2 and 3 around. We go around and you open up for business, but you don't have the funding. Okay, that was my point. So with private money, it's a natural fit in the right place. Benefits of private lenders: unlimited funds, speed to buy. I had a lady call me up on a Monday, and she said, "You the We Buy Houses guys?" I said, "Yes, I am." She said, "I've had this house for 9 months, and they're going to put me on the street." And what happened was by Friday, I owned the house, and she was elated. Cash flow, contingency money, no monthly payments. Oh, she was going in she was already had a place where she was going to go. So, and you get to make the rules. No credit checks, saves you money, makes more money. It's flexible. I like having payments on the 15th of the month. So what maybe some of you are doing is you're having the payments come in on the 15th of the first. I'm sorry, on the 1st of the month. I always have mine come in on the 15th of the month because that gives me grace period in there with my renters. And you do deals you couldn't do any other way. Some of your profit when you buy, because you can pull that out. You can pull out some of your profit. It's cheaper than having a partner. You fund the purchase of defaulted paper. You can buy at a discount, and you got 2 income streams out there. Okay. On the path to wealth, this is my proprietary method of attracting cash. Your biggest issue is what to say to lenders, when to say it, what action should you take, and when to switch gears. So I've documented this. So on asking for money, I have what I call the magic words and the 30-second commercial. Okay. So I'm screening people out, and this is how I do it on the magic words. I'm going to show you what they are right now. On the magic words, ask people, "Hey, by the way, do you have an IRA, bank CD, or a dormant 401k that's not currently earning a secured high rate of return?" And they're either going to say yes or no. So on the yeses, then we go over and go to the 30-second commercial. I'm a real estate investor in Springfield, Ohio, and I buy, fix, and then sell commercial property. At times, I will borrow funds from folks just like you. I pay a high rate of return. Can I tell you more? Boom. And then they'll step into that. And then on this chart here, that's what I just went through. And what happens is this chart goes down all the way down to the closing. Okay. So it's a killer. I had a lady come to my event, and her name was Blanche, widowed, and she asked me a bunch of questions. So when she got done, it was done, and then she came back to my office later on, and she started loaning me money, and then her sister loaned me money, her son loaned me money. So what happened to her was she had up to $230,000 that she gave me along the way for private money. How many of you like to find a Blanche in your life? I was on a first date, and on this first date, I went up walking her up to the door, and what happened was my car had burst into flames. And what happens on me on this this was before I had private money. Was a real pain, and it gave me the incentive to go out and do real estate. Picked up the phone at 2 in the morning and started to look for real estate deals, and it worked. It worked. There's Mom. She was my first private lender. I bought two properties the first year, 5 the second, 18 the second. I've done hundreds of properties now, many without monthly payments. Deidre here, $240,000. Rocky, $120,000. Beverly, $50,000. This is private money that they get all within the first 24 hours of my event. $180,000. Max here, he's $285,000. Group there in Arlington, $1.9 million. One weekend, real estate success from A to Z is what happens to folks. Robert, he said, I've been in real estate for that amount, JR, 750, using my materials. And it just goes on and on and on. So Andy, is it good to turn over to you?
It is. It is. So before I talk about the opportunity that the market's shown us today, I just wanted to say one thing about Alan. Alan likes to share stories of past successes. We old timers kind of do that. But how I met him, I spoke at one of his boot camps, which is essentially going to be exactly what you guys will be participating in on the 24th or 25th in Alan's segment. And I watched as a bunch of strangers gathered in that room, went off at the break, made some phone calls, and came back and raised over $20 million. So if you are in a situation where you want to invest, but you don't have sufficient capital yourself, that's what Alan's specialty will cover. So this is the third segment to now of our webinar tonight. And I remind everybody, I'm going to try to do this in about 7 to 10 minutes because I see over 21 questions in the chat. And Gary, if you'd be kind enough to filter some of those, and we should have some time for 2 or 3 really good questions before we say thank you to all of you and call it a night. Now, again, please take a picture of the QR code on the screen. And if you'll
need to share your screen, Andy.
Oh, I got it.
It's still got Alan's up.
All right, let me do that. Thank you, Gary. So here's the QR code, take a picture, everybody. And if you believe that it sounds like we can help you guys make money and where the market's going aligns with what we teach, please register and attend the full weekend on the 24th and 25th. The cost is $9.95. The only reason why we even have that price is because we want to make sure that that we are adequately staffed for the event. So let's go forward and look at what's happening.
They want the QR code, Andy.
Andy, sorry, your screen's not pulling up.
It's not. Oh my. Okay.
Yeah.
Let me try this again. Share. Is it on now?
No, Alan, go ahead and stop sharing on your side.
I don't know. I see Andy and Gary's screen just fine.
Oh, good.
Okay.
Well, so can everybody see my QR code?
No, I see a Jim Bryant from Kentucky.
There's no QR code.
Nope.
Yeah, that's
All right.
Alan's screen.
Alan, you need to remove your, okay. Yeah, Alan, you got to stop sharing, buddy. And then,
there you go. Now we got it.
Okay, good. All right. So take a picture of this QR code and then let me continue, everybody. All right. So what's happening right now in today's market? Let's have a look at that. And why we feel that today is a great opportunity. So real estate, it's really interesting. One of the most interesting things that I've noticed about real estate, having invested for all these years, is that while markets change, they also, history repeats itself. So let's look at these couple statistics, and I'm going to explain to you what they're telling us. FHA, seriously delinquent. That means a mortgage that is over 90 days past due is 23% higher from a year ago, and the highest level since October 2015, excluding COVID. The second statistic, foreclosure starts in October are up 29% from 1 year ago, which is the 11th consecutive month with a year-over-year increase. What are these statistics, ladies and gentlemen? They're what we call leading indicators. These statistics tell us that it's very likely that the real estate market is going to reset. Now, let me give a little history lesson right now. In the late 80s, there was a savings and loan collapse. And what happened afterwards was a 2 to 3 year real estate reset. And investors who were prepared swooped in and bought properties in that 2 or 3 year period at incredible discounts. Then the market stabilized, real estate values increased, and in 1999, there was a dot-com bubble burst, which initiated a short recession. But again, for real estate investors, right after that happened, there's a 1 or 2 year real estate sale where real estate investors could go in and buy properties, sometimes 30% less than what they cost before the dot-com bubble burst. Again, the market stabilizes, values rise. And in 2008, there is the Great Recession, followed by a dramatic drop in pricing. And depending on what part of the country you resided in, a 3 to 5 year opportunity for investors to swoop in. And this time, the discounts in some markets were around 40%. Now, when these resets occur, most of the deals are foreclosures, which is what I teach. So now let's look at this pattern, because what we have here is a pattern. Every 8 to 12 years, after periods of appreciation, there's a world event, the economy slows down, and the real estate market resets. And investors who are in a position to swoop in and buy properties can buy properties 20, 30, even 40% less than what those same properties sold for just before the reset. The pattern that you are seeing is every 8 to 12 years, there is a reset. Now, based on that scenario, in 2020, there should have been a reset. But what happened in 2020, ladies and gentlemen, was a global pandemic. And the government put $7 trillion into the US economy. Now, we're not going to get into political statements or whether that's right, wrong, or too much. But let's just talk about fact. Whenever the government puts that kind of money into the economy, everything goes up in value until that money works its way through the economy. The real estate market stays high. The stock market stays high. The bond market, the T-bill market stays high. The treasury bill market stays high. So most economists who are a lot smarter than Alan and I believe that any reset that was going to naturally occur in the real estate market got delayed because of this injection of $7 trillion. Now, when you look at these different historical resets, they didn't just happen. there were signs like I just showed you. These two signs are leading indicators that a reset is coming. Now, just to be clear, Alan, myself, no economist is smart enough to tell you exactly when it's going to happen, exactly how deep the reset will go, exactly how long the real estate opportunity will be after the reset. Nobody has a crystal ball, but what we do have is history to show us this pattern of what happens. Now, if you have never watched the movie The Big Short, that's your homework besides registering for this event on the 24th and 25th. The Big Short is a movie that came out with Brad Pitt and a bunch of other stars, and the movie told the story of the years before the Great Recession. The real estate market was still going up, yet the signs of the reset were coming, were there. And the economy pretty much ignored those signs. And we all know what happened in the Great Recession. It was a dramatic collapse, and investors who were prepared made hundreds of thousands, and in some cases, millions of dollars buying discount property after the market reset. Alan and I will be talking about how to take advantage of this reset when in the workshop on the 24th and 25th. When you register, you get a free product from Alan and my free book, ebook, 10 Ways to Buy Low, just for showing up. So let's talk about this weekend and what will be covered. When markets reset, ladies and gentlemen, real estate investors who are prepared can clean up. Now, some real estate models are really good for resets. Others are not. Clearly, raising money, that will be valuable anytime. So Alan's piece that he's going to cover Saturday afternoon and Sunday afternoon will help prepare you to have the cash to take advantage of these resets. But what happens in these resets? What real estate strategies work best? Without a doubt, the way to buy properties below market that I teach, focusing on bank-owned properties, is the dominant way to get deals during resets. In fact, in the years after the Great Recession, ladies and gentlemen, some communities in the country, the percentage of properties for sale on the market that were bank-owned exceeded 30 or 40%. Let me put that into context. In most stable economies, that number is between 1 and 3%. We're talking properties on the market, on the retail market, 30 to 40% of them were bank-owned, and that's what I teach. What else happens in resets? Well, resets are synonymous with recessions and bad economies. And when you have recessionary times, ladies and gentlemen, it's really, really difficult to flip properties. And that's where the lease purchase comes in. It's the perfect marketing tool for the investor to make money in resets, because the families out there, they're not going to be able to buy, but they still have the 2 kids. They still need a nice home. They want to buy in the future. They have a job, a job, but they can't buy today, which makes the lease purchase the absolute perfect way to market your properties if you're buying them in bulk during resets as REOs. And I teach them both. So in a summary, Saturday morning, I'm covering buying low, how to buy properties below market with a focus on bank-owned. Sunday morning, I'm covering, now you bought those properties, what to do with them, how to flip them, how to wholesale them, how to lease purchase them, and how to put them on long-term holds. Both the afternoons, Alan's going to fill in the missing piece on, if you don't have the money yourself, how to go and get the money. So, ladies and gentlemen, the last thing I'm going to go say before we take questions. So, Gary, get ready. We got about, we can do maybe 7-8 minutes of questions here. Sorry about my dog. The last thing I want to say is I've been very successful personally as a real estate investor. The money I've made has allowed me to buy and start other businesses, and has really given me the financial freedom that most of you want when you look to become a real estate investor. So I don't really have a lot of personal regrets. I got one. I'm going to share it with all of you today. I knew a reset was coming in 08. I didn't know exactly when. I didn't know how deep it would be. I knew it was coming. And I bought properties when the market reset in the Great Recession. But if I had done a couple things differently in 06, 07 to prepare my finances, move some money around, maybe raise private money, the one regret I have, I should have bought 10 times the number of properties I bought. Because successful investors in real estate will tell you they buy when the markets reset. And everything I'm talking to you about tonight, and we'll cover on the 24th and 25th, is my own personal plan myself. I'm still young enough to ride up one more down cycle or one more reset. And that's what I'm going to talk to all of you about on the 24th and 25th. So I'm going to pause and we'll leave my screen up and go ahead, Gary, let's do a few questions and then we'll call it a night. But no matter what, everybody, please register. It's only $9.95. I'm going to repeat, if you have a partial or full conflict that weekend, by registering, any session you missed you'll be able to access and download. But of course, you want to attend live. In my part, I budget about 2 hours for your questions, not 5 minutes like tonight. And I know Alan does the same. So I'm going to pause. Gary, let's answer a few questions. And then we'll thank everybody for attending. And we hope to see you back online on the 24th.
Yeah, appreciate it. So, I mean, you might have just answered one of the questions by attending the 2-day course, will there be a recording that they can review back or get access to the recording?
Yes.
Okay. And then there was a really good question here. Let's see. Hang on here. I'm trying to find the one. Everybody wanted the QR code. We've got that coming.
Well, it's on the screen.
Yep. And then there is a link in the chat box as well for those that have an issue with the. Okay. What kind of time frame do we have to get prepared for starting out?
That's a great question, and I'm going to give you an honest answer. You might not like it. I don't know. We're seeing signs right now that the reset's coming. There's even an argument that it's already started slowly. The real estate reset could be slow and gradual. There could be a global event that hasn't happened yet that could trigger this, and it could be sudden. In the last reset, if you remember, the economy was humming along until Lehman Brothers Bank collapsed in August of 2008. And within literally 30 days, so many people had lost their jobs and we faced a complete different economy. And this is why attending is such, and the timing of this is so important. We don't know when it's going to happen. We don't know how it's going to happen. And honestly, we don't know if it's going to happen for sure. What we do know is the same signs that existed before the other resets we're seeing today. And based on history, it's likely coming. So it's time now to get ready.
Okay. do you recommend using a self-directed IRA?
The honest answer is Alan's a better source for that. I have students who use self-directed IRAs to fund their real estate invest in. I personally don't, so I can't speak to it from personal experience, but it is a very common source of funding for sure.
Yeah, and I use them.
Yeah, I even talk people into setting up self-directed IRAs to give me money.
Yeah.
So that's actually something I learned from Alan at one of the boot camps. So, let's see. I believe. Oh, let's see.
Well, actually, while you're doing it, Gary, I'm going to speak to one more thing and give you a chance
Yep.
to do one final question, then we'll thank everybody. Probably about 20% of you are or interested in wholesaling. Okay, let me speak about wholesaling a little bit right now. There's a big misconception for new wholesalers that you can't buy bank-owned properties. But if you talk to a successful wholesaler who's been doing it for 10 or 15 years, that successful wholesaler will tell you they buy most of their properties from banks. So both of these can't be true. So if you want to be a wholesaler, you actually have to learn how to buy from banks. Not only can you have to. Why? Because wholesaling is a volume business. It's transaction-based business. You're looking to do 10 to 20 deals per month. That's the life of a wholesaler. Well, the only seller out there who has a portfolio of properties to talk about are banks. And that's why successful wholesalers learn how to buy from banks, because they are the source for properties that is the primary source for wholesalers to get volume properties from the same seller. So Gary, let's do one more great question,
Okay.
and then we'll thank everybody for their time.
Real quick, it looks like we have a few people trying to process credit cards, sign up, but they're getting errors on it, and so it looks like there's multiple people. So that goes to your
let
side.
me speak to that. Everybody, if there's 50 people trying to buy at once, there might be a temporary issue. All you got to do is reset your cache and go back after a couple minutes, and you'll be able to transact. The registration link is working just fine, but you have a webinar like this, it could be overwhelmed. Just reset your cache, go back, and you'll be able to transact. And just email your RIA if you have any problem that takes more than 25 or 30 minutes. But the registration link definitely is working fine.
Okay. This is kind of a two-part question as well for our last question, Andy. There's multiple questions that kind of lead up to the same here. But how much money do you need to get started? And the other question is there going to be a huge upsell of like $30,000 or $40,000 at the boot camp?
Okay. To be perfectly frank, no. Alan and I, let me answer the last question first. There's no $30,000 or $40,000 product. Alan and I are both what we call educators. Yes, we have kits. It's nowhere close to that number. You don't have to buy, but you do have to attend. 90% of the weekend will be 100% education. Then we'll talk about our kit. My own strategy, I don't mind telling you, is I prefer what I call, I dump information. I walk you through step by step how my system works. And then, okay, if you want the intellectual property, then you'll have that opportunity. But you're not going to be going into a sales-a-thon, everybody. Let me answer now the first question. How much money you need to what do you need to get started? So it's a bit of a loaded question, because the right answer is different for every person. If you have no money at all, you can start as a wholesaler, or you can work with Alan and learn how to raise private capital. Another answer is like how I got started. I had just enough money for a down payment, you're going to laugh at this, everybody, for a homeowner loan. I didn't have enough money for an investor loan. So I moved into the first investment property for a year, fixed it up, and then I lease purchased it. That's how I got my start. So having good credit, having a little bit of cash for one deal, that's really good. It's not necessary. So the big point that I want to say to all of you is probably this is a great way to wrap up. You can find 100 reasons that you're concerned about investing. 100. Well, I don't think I have enough money. I don't think I'm old enough. I don't think I know my market well enough. In my case, I'm not tall enough. That's a joke. But what I want to say for sure is that forget these excuses. Most successful real estate investors, the one thing they'll tell you is they felt so unprepared on that first property. What you're feeling is normal. You just got to find a vehicle, a way to get that first property. Maybe like my story, a homeowner loan and you move in. Maybe you use an investor loan. Maybe you raise private money. You got no capital, you find a credit partner or you wholesale. But don't make an excuse, because the last thing you want to do is agree that a reset is coming, attend our workshop, you know it's coming, and do absolutely nothing to position yourself and watch while thousands of other real estate investors make millions of dollars. You want to be that person to make millions of dollars. And I'll say again, I know the first time is scary. Alan, myself, Gary, everybody on this webinar who's bought properties and had success were scared the first time. It's really normal. And the best advice I can ever give you is you'll never completely suppress fear, but what you can do is educate yourself so you feel you're ready. And that's what the 24th and 25th is all about. So everybody, one last opportunity to snap a picture of the QR code. Again, if you need to reset your cache on your computer, you will be able to register within, but we're getting a lot of people registering right now. So the link is working, and just try one time and you should be able to attend. Any issues, just send an email to your RIA and we'll get you squared away tomorrow. But we hope to see you on the 24th and 25th. And we hope you have a ton of success investing. And Alan and I will do our part to make that real for you. Thank you for attending, Alan.
Yep. Everybody, to your wealth.
To your wealth. Good night, everybody.